look at all that money, yeah, the money that they spend. Take another look now and take some time for hemp. I don't cut trees with paper, cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yeah, it's time for hemp. Whoa, an acre of hemp makes 20 barrels of oil. No need for pesticides to poison all our soil. People got no food, they got no clothes, they got no rent. Well, right now it's time for hemp.
Thank you for taking time for hemp. I'm your host, Casper Leitch. You are listening to the broadcast of Time for Hemp on Tumblr, SoundCloud, YouTube, and, of course, iHeartRadio. Or maybe you're at the timeforhemp.com website. Or maybe you are using your Android app in your Android phone found at the Google Plus store. Lordy, I don't know, but jeepers, I'm sure you are tuning in somehow because golly gee, Wally, you're listening to me now, right? Well, with that said, it is Tuesday, and on Tuesday we give a big salute to all of our friends up in Canada. All of our friends up in Canada for being hardworking activists, for letting the world know how many wonderful products can be made out of hemp. They've had a hemp industry for a long time. And even though they've had a hemp industry, they successfully, and I don't know how, and neither does my guest, they managed to elect a bunch of ass clowns into office these past few years that want to turn it all backwards. And we'll let our guest and our host talk about that. Don't forget, anytime you hear the word joint on the big broadcast, nearly 2.5 million people all around the world pack their pipes or vaporizers, twist up a joint, and take time for hemp. And I want to say thank you to KDK Distributors for being nice enough for giving us a joint grant here to keep us loud, proud, and strong. With that said, I'm going to pick up the conversation with my joint host, who's going to introduce our joint guest here in the big joint conversation, and while I smoke my joint here at Time for Hemp.
Thank you, Casper. Thanks you for everything you do, as well as the intro. A lot of people, as you know, Casper, I'm located near Toronto, Canada, and a lot of people and your listeners probably assume that, that's up north. Well, today I've brought a guest, a patient advocate that, to me, I say, lives up north.
Wow.
So, yeah. I don't know if she's got any igloos up there or not, but we'll find out. So, all right. Well, let's introduce her. Kim Cooper.
Yeah.
How are you today?
How you doing, Al? Hi, Casper. How are y'all? Thanks for having me on. Good to be here.
Fine. Happy Tuesday. So you enjoy ice bongs? Is that it? You got an ice bong up there?
Well, yeah. We just have to go outside and chip off the ice,
Cool.
Just open the door, eh? You don't even have to go to the store.
No. It's not quite that bad up here. We don't live in igloos. We live in houses the same as everybody else.
Wow. So you come into the new century.
Yes, we have.
Yeah. That would be handy, though, eh? Just go over to the living room wall, just a little chip out of the side of the wall, put it in your bong.
I'm not quite that far north. I'm just up north.
No.
Lake area.
Yeah, but you still probably got lots of snow up there.
Oh, yeah. It gets evil, wicked cold. Lots of snow, for sure.
Yeah. You're not quite up to the North Pole or anything, but you're still north. Well, how many hours are you north of Toronto?
Well, North Bay is about 3 hours south of me.
South of
7 hours to Toronto.
7 hours, did you say?
Yes.
7 hours. Wow.
Yeah.
I'd say I can drive to Connecticut from here in Toronto.
Were you born there or did you move there?
No, I'm a Torontonian, born and raised. I've been up north now for about 12 years.
Because it sounds like the kind of place I'd move from if I was ever given a chance and would never move to if I was asked to.
So we got a lot of big exodus here. Lots of the young folks moving down south and getting the hell out of the cold. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, I thought this would give you a chance. I know that you're active on Facebook, and I'd like to be able to find out a little bit more about you. And you're in the northern climate, so it'll be interesting to see what all you have to say about as we get going along about life in northern rural Ontario.
Yeah, we are rural. I don't live in a city. We live in a rural area. It's all farm country. Very small town, 6,000 people, 15,000 people in our city. And that's where we are shopping and stuff. So yeah, all small communities up here.
Yeah.
Well, again, I'm not surprised.
Yeah. And Casper, she's not getting weather like you either. This nice, 67-degree weather you're talking about?
Oh yeah, that's just too chilly for me. I had to put on a sweater today.
We're minus 10 today.
Ooh.
Minus 10 today. Wow. We're going to +2 where we are here, beside the city.
Still in
so
the minuses up here.
Usually when I hear that, I'm talking about my budget, not the temperature.
Yeah. So when you fly south, you fly to Toronto then?
I drive.
Oh, you drive?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
See, if I was to fly south, I would fly to the Caribbean. If you fly south, you fly to Toronto.
Yeah, no, we drive down to the city. It's about 6.5 hours on a good day for drive. I've still got family down there. Both my husband and I have our parents in Toronto and siblings and stuff. So we come into town quite a bit.
Yeah. You're still communicating on it, which is very good. Okay, well let's get away from the northern stuff. We'll get into that more later on. But Kim, you're a patient advocate, and so I'd like to talk a little bit about your medical use, and then a little bit later towards the show we get into some advocacy work that you're involved in.
Sure, sounds good.
All right. From some of the information I've seen on you, are you dealing with epilepsy?
Yeah, I had epilepsy as a young person. I have been seizure-free, I'm happy to say, for 25 years, and I credit that to the cannabis. I began using cannabis when I was about 15 years old recreationally, and I was having seizures, and I was on some heavy medications at that time, Dilantin and Phenobarb, which can really, really play havoc with your system, especially when you're young. And I found that smoking the cannabis always made me feel better. When we went to the doctor and my mother chose to bring up the opportunity saying, she smokes pot, tell her not to because it's bad for her, that's when we first found out that cannabis was being looked at to be used in to just prevent seizures. And at the time, the doctor at the Western Hospital told my mother that in his opinion, I should continue to consume cannabis and that it would possibly stop me from taking further medications as I aged to handle the epileptic seizures. And as far as I can see, it seems to be true. As I said, 25 years seizure-free.
And how did your mother react to that news? Being that sounds like she was trying to make it so that the doctor was going to give you a lecture.
Well, yeah, absolutely. She wanted me to be told off and told not to do that anymore. Well, she pretty much just about fell over in her chair right there and then at the doctor's office, but she never bothered me about it again. She never spoke to me illy about smoking cannabis. She didn't encourage me to do it by any means, but she left it up to me as my choice, and she never interfered with it again after that.
Right. Okay, and basically all you've been doing this time is basically just smoking the cannabis versus where some people have been using, well, especially with the children, which is obvious, with the resin.
Yes, I was smoking cannabis up until I was about 34 years old was when I first got diagnosed with some cancer, and that's when I found out about the oils. And I began using tincture and oil at that time as well as consuming by smoking.
Right. Well, have you found that the oils have helped you with your epilepsy?
I don't know if it was so much the oils that are helping with the epilepsy because it was already under control with the smoking. So I really can't say if it has had an effect on that or not.
Mm-hmm. I'm just curious. Seeing that we're seeing the benefits with the kids, it would be something that you could use, I guess, as an alternative when it comes to traveling or.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I travel with my capsules and with my cannabis capsules in my prescription bottle. And I take my daily dose of that every day. And I credit the cannabis oil and the cannabis all as a whole for keeping me healthy all these years. I truly believe that my seizures probably would have gotten worse. I was experiencing grand mal seizures when I was young. They tapered off and are non-existent anymore. Same when I had a diagnosis with a tumor in my breast. I started on the cannabis oil. The tumor's gone.
Yeah, we'll get into more into your cancer there as we get going. I still want to concentrate on your epilepsy. Did you go through some of the stuff that we're seeing now with some of the children, with Liam and Jalen and them that are dealing with drug withdrawals and stuff that they've ended up on? Did you end up with any of that type of thing, or is this maybe new drugs that they're pushing on these kids and they're finding out that they are super addicted?
No, I think it happened to me too. I was on Dilantin and Phenobarb. Phenobarb is highly addictive. I had a heck of a time by getting off of those. It took several years of weaning very, very slowly to get off of them. And they wreaked havoc with my body and they wreaked havoc with my mind, physically and mentally. They were very, very difficult to get off of.
And that's dealing with it as, it sounds like you said you were about 15 when you realized or found out about cannabis helping you with your condition. So
yeah, I was 19 by the time I was off all the drugs.
So you're doing that as a teenager, almost as an adult. So this must be. So you obviously have a very good idea of what these kids are going through.
Oh yeah, it's horrific. I mean, as an adolescent, young person, young adult, 18 and 19, when I was going through withdrawals, I barely handled it. It was enough to push somebody over the deep end. It really is. And to have a young child going through those kind of withdrawal symptoms and those kind of effects on your body and mentally, I can't imagine what they would be feeling. I mean, it was horrific for me as a child. Be awful. It would just be awful.
Well, let's just hope there's more doctors out there that are just as obviously friendly towards it as your doctor was, and maybe that will help a child in the future, where maybe a doctor will look at that option versus giving them some other kinds of meds.
Yeah, well, all of the ones that they have for seizure control right now, they're all highly addictive and they all wreak havoc with your body and with you on a mental basis. And It's not good. It's not good.
No, never is. Now, okay, you've mentioned about the cancer. You mentioned breast cancer. Is this something that runs in the family, or?
Yes, it is. My mother was diagnosed with breast cancer when she was 28. And she had partial mastectomy. By the time she was 40, the cancer was back all through her body, and she passed away at 50. So it's in the family. My grandmother also had cancer and passed away from cancer. It's definitely in the family. My first diagnosis came when I was 34, and then I got a second diagnosis again when I was 42. When I got the second diagnosis when I was 42, my life was flashing before my eyes. I saw my mother's life, and I thought I was reliving it. I thought, oh my God, I'm not going to be here for my kids. I'm not going to see my grandchildren. I'm going to be dead when I'm 50, the same as my mom. And I truly believe the only reason I'm still here and I'm remain cancer-free is due to my cannabis consumption.
Now, to deal with your cancer, you're not just relying, like you mentioned, you're not just relying on the smoking, right? You're actually using oils or tropical creams?
Yes, I'm using oils as well as topicals. I use an oil that I take in a capsule every day. And I use a topical on the area where the lump was diagnosed. I'm no longer doing the topical because the latest scans show that there is no lump there anymore. And I'm thrilled about that, just completely thrilled that I'm, right now, at the moment, I am cancer-free. And
that's super. Yeah, because I was going to ask you, like you're doing this treatment, have they had any follow-ups to see whether it's gone? So what does your doctor think about this? Like he obviously, or she would obviously see this and know that you're doing these treatments.
Yeah, and at first it was very difficult. They wanted to have me sign a contract to say that I wasn't going to do this and that I wasn't going to use cannabis. And if I didn't sign the contract, they were going to ship me off and say they weren't going to treat me anymore. I had to fight. I had to literally my doctor's office to the College of Physicians and Surgeons, and I wrote a letter to the clinic's head office stating my case and that I was entitled to receive the care from this office and guidance from this office for the care that I thought I deserved. And they eventually took me back and said, okay, we're not going to have you sign that contract, but we're not going to supply you with any pharmaceutical meds. And you're basically on your own. We'll watch your progress.
So they put you all through that because you refused to do chemo?
Yes, and surgery.
And because you wanted to use cannabis instead, because you decided to make a choice for yourself.
That's correct.
I thought we were allowed to do that in this country.
Yeah, and we are. And some doctors' offices, unfortunately, are going over and above and beyond their call and the laws and doing these things in private clinics and thinking they can get away with them. So many people are in the same position. They're afraid to speak to their doctors because of repercussions like this. And it's just making it so much more difficult for the patients that these doctors are acting in such a way. Yes.
Especially some patients who are under some type of medical program that, if they refuse treatment, are they then going to be cut off of, everything, income to, as in your case, treatment.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Because I know down in the U.S. there was a fellow by the name of Tim, I believe was his name, and he needed to have a liver transplant, and because he was using cannabis, he was denied treatment. And that almost sounds very similar to exactly what they put you through, or wanted to put you through.
Yeah, well, they tried, but I'm a pretty bold person. I'm pretty outspoken. Yeah. I don't get pushed around too easily. And I spoke up, and I stood my ground, and took it to the next level to come up with a solution. So many others don't have that strength to do that, and will lay back and say, well, I can't do it then. And we'll just go ahead with surgery, and we'll go ahead with chemo because their doctors are taking this stand. And it is so wrong.
Wow. Because, chemo can be very hard. I'm watching a family member deal with that right now, so I know exactly what you mean there. So, are you, when it comes to your cannabis, do you look for certain strains, whether they're high CBD or you are in the north, so I don't know what availability. Like, it's not as if you probably can, drive down to your local compassion center like you can in Toronto.
No, that's right. Yeah, we don't have anything available up here. Toronto is the closest outlet for us to go to a place to get anything. Unfortunately, there is nothing available out here. I am one of the lucky ones that got on several years ago with a designated grower.
Okay, so, and they were able to get through with the injunction?
Yes, they're part of the injunction. So he's a designated grower. So right now, I'm on an okay position. Depending on what happens in court, that can change.
Correct. That's exactly. It's good. It's good that you still have access to that because some of the alternative ways of doing it can get very costly, and we're patients. We're not big office workers or anything that are making some big income or anything.
Well, speaking of not making a big income, I'm a hemp activist, which means I'm paid in bud. So when I go down to pay my light bill, there's a lot of happy people behind the counter when I leave. But my lights are still shut off unless I pay them cash. So we're going to make that happen here at Time for Hemp. You are listening to the Time for Hemp Global Broadcasting Network. Please share us with your friends.
THCF Medical Clinics are the premier physicians clinic in the United States. THCF has offices all across the United States from Hawaii to Michigan. THCF Medical Clinics has helped approximately 150,000 patients obtain their medical marijuana permits to legally possess, grow, and use medical marijuana. If you have chronic pain, multiple sclerosis, or any other neurological degenerative disease, or if you have any gastrointestinal disorders such as GERD, irritable bowel syndrome, or if you have AIDS, cancer, spastic disorders, seizure disorders, or glaucoma, call us at 1-800-723-0188 or visit us online at hemp.org. Again, the number is 1-800-723-0188 and the site is hemp.org.
line. Now you're soft and mellow toe. The scent is so divine. And I just want you to know that I'd smoke you all the time, my sweet hydro. My sweet hydro. If I only had a bow, I wouldn't be so alone, my sweet hydro.
Sweet Hydro. Oh, baby, I love that song. Oh, yeah, my Sweet Hydro. That was Sean Reaver and the Resin Valley Boys. And thanks for a mellow and groovy slow day here on Time for Hemp. We are a broadcasting community now, not just one show, 1 hour every day, but 24 hours a day. 7 days a week broadcasting into the world, letting it know how important it is to take time for hemp. Every Tuesday, we put a spotlight on the amazing people up in Canada. How do you pronounce that again?
Canada.
Oh, Canada. And they are leaders in the hemp movement. And we got KDK Distributors as one of our sponsors. Gives us a grant every now and again to keep us strong, loud, and proud. And they also do something else that's very kind and loving. And I'll let Al share that.
That's right, Casper. What Kelly and them do at KDK Distributing is that they give away, it's not a prize, it's a giveaway, a free vaporizer from Herbal Air to a patient that is in need. All they have to do is write Kelly at kdkwholesale.ca and let them know that they are a legitimate medical user, that they can't financially purchase one, and that he wants all this done in 100 words or less, so it's not a great big essay or anything like that. And if your name gets drawn or your name gets pulled out and your story is something that they feel that you could use this vaporizer and you're the worthy one for this month, then they will contact you and pass that on to you. If your name is not drawn, then or picked, he will put your names back into the container and hopefully pull you out the next time, and you'll be the one that will be the worthy one in order to receive this free Herbal Air vaporizer.
And it is an amazing act of love, and we want to thank the team that makes that happen. And you also announce the winners too, don't you?
Yes, we do. We announced the winners in the Time for Hemp e-zine Joint Conversations, and that is a spot where you can find this free vaporizer giveaway with all the information, as well as Callie's email address. And if you look at it electronically at the timeforhemp.com website, you can just go into the Joint Conversations and actually just click on Kelly's email address, and that'll open up your email and send him a message from there.
And again, we want to say thank you to KDK Distributors for being nice enough to make that happen for the medical marijuana community. And you can also find that offer on an MP3 you can download and share with all your friends on the homepage of the timeforhemp.com website. Well, with that said, we're going to get back to our joint conversation with our joint host and our joint guest here in the Big Joint broadcast. I'm going to smoke my joint while you two have a nice joint chat here at Time for Hemp.
Thank you, Casper. Kim, you still with us?
Oh, yeah, still here.
Good. You just never know about those gremlins, right? They can just... electronic ones, they just come and go without you even knowing.
That's it.
before the commercial break and that song, we were talking to you about the medicinal uses that you've been using it for cannabis, and we were on the subject of cancer. And that just before then we talked about you using topicals and that. When it came to those items, was that something that you were able to create on your own through education and learning online, or was this something that you would have to rely on as a compassion center for access?
In the beginning, I was using a compassion center, and then I got educated. There's a lot of information online, for sure, on recipes on how to make different things, tinctures, oils, creams, balms, everything you can think of. I did some research, and now I make my own. I no longer use anybody else. I have my designated grower who supplies me with my plant material, and I break it down myself with the help of my husband, and we make up our own stuff.
Now, is it a long process, easy process, 2 or 3 part process?
Yeah, it takes several days to get it all done. We make our oil for the capsules, as well as turning some into a balm that we add some mint and some other conditioning creams, skin conditioning creams too for the rub. And then, of course, the dry plant material we keep as well, the leaves and stuff for smoking as well.
Good. And obviously, being able to do that is something that, is something that everybody should be able to learn about. And we're not learning about it because of prohibition. So we're all fighting for the end of that, aren't we?
Yes, we are. We absolutely are. The information is available, but you've got to look for it. It is.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't fall in your lap. And especially when you're trying to get people who are really uneducated on it to look for it and stuff like that. If they're not, into this, they're just not going to come across it. So, as many people you can share that with, on how to do something like that, better we'll all be.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I try and do my best to spread the word to anybody who will listen to me at any given time when it comes to the subject of cannabis and health.
So, do you think your doctor, they're saying this and all that, do you think they've ever, maybe talked amongst themselves to, maybe even just to even give it a look?
I think they are now. I think that more doctors are starting to come around now. I've supplied a lot of people in our little community with a little package to kind of drop off to their doctors that contains, stuff like scientific studies, medical studies that have been done, and showing the efficacy of cannabis and how it helps with various medical conditions. So I think that with patients dropping off this information to doctors' offices, it's forcing them to take a look, and they're beginning to speak. And realize that, hey, maybe we should take a look at this.
Well, thank you for doing that, for passing that stuff out, because the more eyes that we can open up, the better things are. So, you're not just dealing with health issues for your cannabis use as well. I read something that you were in a car accident.
Yeah, 12 years ago. I was in a motor vehicle accident on Highway 400 coming home from work. I used to work for York Region Transit. And I was on the way home from work, and 400, multi-vehicle accident, one of the ones you hear on the news in the wintertime.
Yes.
And I was in the middle of it. I broke my back, broke my arm, several other internal injuries and stuff like that. Took a long time to get back on my feet. The trauma of it affected me deeply psychologically, and I had a lot of issues with dealing with getting back into vehicles. I couldn't even be a passenger in a car for a year. Yeah, it was a long haul back, and the chronic pain and the mental instability that I experienced after the car accident and the hospitalizations. When I got out of the hospital, I was on 18 pills a day. I couldn't function. My kids lost 4 years of their mother. That was a vegetable on the couch. And it again cannabis is the thing that came to save me. And it got me off the pain meds. It got me off of everything. And now I'm on no pharmaceuticals. And I'm healthier than ever.
Would you say that obviously cannabis gave your life back?
Absolutely, 100%. I owe my life to cannabis, and I tell that to anybody who will listen to me. For seizures, for cancer, for pain, for so many illnesses, mental illness. I mean, it brings stability to an unstable world.
Yeah. Listening to your story, you're dealing with epilepsy, you've dealt with cancer, you're dealing with trauma from an accident, and you're dealing with a lot of this with cannabis.
It's been my savior.
Just your medical records alone, it's got to be, yet again, back to the family doctor and your doctors. Like, they've got to be saying, well, anecdotally, all this stuff, it's all right there.
Yeah, I agree. And that's why they need to look. I mean, they have to stop turning the blind eye and listening to Big Pharma as their teacher. Because now, pharmaceuticals are the ones that pay these doctors. They're the ones that are giving them the money. They're the ones that are telling them which drugs to prescribe. The doctors should be doing this research and know which drugs to prescribe and which drugs not to prescribe. They shouldn't be going on the word of the pharmaceutical reps.
Yeah. Well, it's odd that I believe some of the LPs now have reps that go around to talk to doctors.
That is awesome. I think that's a great idea. I think that more doctors need to be educated about the plant, and the stigma has to go. It has to go. The evidence is in. There's no more question. There is no more question. People say, oh, there's not enough scientific study. Cannabis is the most studied plant on the planet. There is no other plant on this planet that we know more about than cannabis. I mean, how much research do they want?
They could have it overflowing out of their ears, and it wouldn't be enough because doesn't suit what they want the outcome to be. As we saw,
it won't
recently,
make money. That's the bottom line, right?
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to some of your advocacy work. As we've talked about earlier, you are in the north. You're like 7 hours north of Toronto.
Yeah.
So up there, you are sort of somewhat isolated. So how do you do advocacy work?
I have a Facebook group, Cannabis Information with Kim. I also do a coffee group monthly in our town where I go and I just have a coffee and I set up a bunch of paperwork and I sit and I invite people online in different buy and sell groups and local groups on Facebook and stuff like that to let people know I'm going to be here at this time and I'm going to have all this info with me. If you'd like to drop by and have a coffee, I'll be there. And I've done this. I've hosted 4 of those events so far. And I've had an overwhelming amount of people come out for information. It's been a great success. The community wants the information but doesn't know where to get it. I encourage other people to do this in their own areas. If you have information on cannabis or you're a cannabis enthusiast at all, print out some stuff, advertise it on Facebook and local buy and sell groups and stuff like that, and just sit in a coffee shop and offer people the information. You'll be surprised at how many people want to know.
Well, I'm surprised as to how fast time has gone. We got to stop and pay our bills again, but we'll be right back in just a minute, 28 seconds here at Time for Hemp. You are listening to the Time for Hemp Global Broadcasting Network. please share us with your friends.
Serious Seeds is your source for quality cannabis and sativa seeds. Serious Seeds are the creators of legendary strains like AK-47, Bubblegum, Chronic, Cali Mist, and White Russian. The AK-47 is probably the most awarded strain on the planet. The high THC content of AK-47 makes it the perfect medical strain for patients seeking quick pain relief. Cali Mist is an almost pure sativa. Female medical cannabis patients have reported that this strain helps relieve menstrual cramps. Serious Seeds just acquired another Dutch high-quality seed bank, Magus Genetics. From now on, Serious Seeds can offer you even more award-winning strains. The fine folks at Serious Seeds strive to breed the best cannabis genetics that they can find, so patients can rely on the effectiveness of their medicine. Go to SeriousSeeds.com to grow your medicine. That site again is SeriousSeeds.com.
Well, now, chocolate cake makes my poor stomach ache, and all those pills are too much for me to take. I don't like cocaine, cause it makes me all uptight, but coffee and reefer makes me feel alright. Crystal meth.
Yeah, coffee and reefer does make me feel all right. First thing I do when I get out of bed in the morning is grab myself a great big cup of Joe. Then Joe gets his pants on and goes to work, and I get me a cup of coffee and get busy in front of my computer trying to make the world a better place. If you're just sitting there watching Lucy reruns or trying to figure out if Frasier and Niles are going to get a date for the weekend, hey, you're part of the problem. Get up off that couch, put one foot in front of the other, and go out and let the whole world know how important it is to take time for hemp. We're back with our joint conversation with our joint host and joint friend. I want to give a big happy birthday and shout out to Special Agent at Homeland Security, Kevin Miller. I wish Kevin a big happy 38th birthday today. And I also want to say happy anniversary to Special DEA Agent Joyce DeWitt Meyer. And say, I hope you have another 10 years, a happy anniversary. You people who are listening there, please take notes, share us with your friends, and make sure all your coworkers learn about the properties of hemp. Back to you, Al.
Thank you, Casper. All right, before the break, I was talking with Kim about some of her advocacy work, and we were just talking about what she's doing with her coffee days, where she's goes and lets everybody know she's going to spend some time at the coffee shop and talk cannabis and supply them information. And she says it's been very successful. Correct, Kim?
Yeah, it's been great. We've had good turnout, every single one that we've had. I'm on a break right now for winter. We don't get out much up here in the cold in the dead of winter, so I took off the winter, and we'll be going back to that starting in April again. And we'll be reuniting.
I have to congratulate you on that, because that is something that I have been doing since October of 2010.
Awesome.
I started doing cannabis educational documentaries by showing video and doing discussions and doing a follow-up discussion afterwards. And I started, like I said, in the fall of 2010. And this month, right now, is the first month that I have not had a cafe to do that in.
Wow.
So you're looking at, about 55 months nonstop. It's a streak that's been broken. So I congratulate you for doing something that's very similar, and you reach out to the non-cannabis users because you're sitting there and people see you. Whether they come in, people come from the outside that you've told people on Facebook, but there's other people in there that don't expect you to be there, and you're able to communicate with them as well.
That's right. I just keep all the information out on the table for everybody to see, and then during our conversations, other people are listening. People come over and say, "Oh, I heard you. What do you know about this?" And it spreads the word.
Yeah, it does. Well, congratulations on that. Keep it up. Okay, from there, I want to slide on to something that's happening in your city, town. I'm not quite sure what we want to call you there.
Town.
A place called the Tripping Daisy. What's going on there?
Yeah, the Tripping Daisy in Kirkland Lake, Ontario. Owner Darren Delaney, great guy. He come up here and he opened up a bong shop for us. The nearest bong shop for our community is a 3-hour drive to buy a bong. You have to be one of the big cities. So he opened up a bong shop in our little town, and it was operating successfully for about 5 months. He has a great following. He is a wonderful little shop. With all of our supplies that we need. OPP decided to perform a raid on his shop just this past February. They went in with a warrant, confiscated all of his property, took out all the bongs, vaporizers, everything, rolling papers, grinders, all of it, concealment containers, everything that he had. And it's all been confiscated. We had a rally to support them on March the 2nd. Which Dana Larson came out for, which was absolutely great. We marched on to OPP headquarters, saying free the bong, and in support of Darren. And I'm now organizing some people to go for Darren's first day of court, which is April the 9th.
So what's he been charged with?
He's been charged with sales of bongs.
Really?
Under Bill Section 562.2 of the Criminal Code.
Hasn't that been... So they're saying because some people put stickers on them, sold for tobacco use only, and stuff like that. So
yeah, well, technically in Canada, bong shops are still illegal. They operate fine in larger metropolises, larger cities and stuff, without any incidents because there's so many, and police have other things to do, I guess. Small town Canada is the one that's still paying the price for this absurd law that's still on the books. We're still paying the price for that.
They're just all they're trying to do is shut them down. They're trying to make them feel unwelcome, and by going in and removing all the stuff, and then if he opens up again, they will do the same thing again, and they try to basically starve him.
Well, that's the idea. But Darren is a pretty good guy, and he's got a lot of support in the community. Right. And he opened up the next week.
He did he? So he's open now and operating again?
He restocked, and he was open for business for our rally.
Great. And he's still going?
He's still going.
Good. Talking about rallies, obviously, with your long 7-hour drive, you won't be making it to Yonge and Dundas Square in Toronto for the 420.
No, I won't, but that's only because I'm hosting the very first ever 420 for Northern Ontario in New Liskeard.
There you go. Jeez. It just spreads, doesn't it?
It does. I decided to carry this on, and I've got some great backing from Bob Erb, who sent me up some signs for advertising, and we're hosting our very first ever 420, and I intend for it to be an annual event.
Great. So far, are you getting any feedback from people, or are you, I can tell you for an example, the 420 that's held in Peterborough, their posters will be ruined by people. They'll be marked up and the whole bit by people who are completely against it. Is that something that you're going through for your first time, or has been more accepting?
So far, I've gotten acceptance from everybody. We haven't got our signs up. That's going up this weekend, so we'll find out about vandalism on them and public opinion once they go out.
Right. So are you getting any permits for this, or are you just doing this as an act of public disobedience?
It's an act of public disobedience. I'm not getting permits for it because we're not planning on having vendors. Only because it's the very first event. I want to get a feel for it first. I've never done anything like this before in my life. I'm not an organizer by trade or anything like this. This is just something I'm doing because I feel so passionately about it.
Exactly.
So I'm excited to do it. and just winging it, sort of, and with some help with some others online and getting advice from people. Yeah. And we'll see how it goes this year, and maybe next year it'll be bigger and better.
And you'll learn each year. You'll analyze what happened this year, the good and the bad, and next year you'll improve what you see that needs to be improved. I know it's
progress. All a learning experience, right? That's
right. So what about just having somebody do some speaking? That's not where you have any vendors or anything. Obviously.
We're going to have a couple of speakers. I'm going to be speaking, of course, and Darren is also going to be there from the Trip and Daisy, and he's going to be speaking. And we're hoping for a couple of people that from Toronto that are more prominent will come up and join us for this and also engage the crowd.
It'd be nice if you could hook up a video feed.
Yeah, that would be great.
Then you could have a bunch of people on Skype on a big screen, but then you'd be outside and it'd probably be windy and cold.
Yeah, we don't know yet, so like I said, first year, so we'll see how it goes.
Okay, you want to get to two things before we run out of time. I also understand that you're involved in some large publication that's probably just hitting the newsstands.
Yes, I was. I'm actually kind of giddy about this and embarrassed a bit. But yeah, Skunk Magazine honored me. John Vergado's got in touch with me and asked me for a headshot. And they've honored me as one of the prominent women to watch in cannabis movement in Skunk Magazine. This issue of Skunk Magazine has a picture of me.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
I'm very proud, very.
Yeah, you're making some noise. You're being heard, and as Casper can tell you, we're like the bunch of people in Whoville, and we're just waiting for everybody to join the circle to make us big, loud voice so we can be heard around the world. And obviously, you're doing that.
Well, so. Thank you.
And Al, you're right. We're down the last couple of minutes, so we do want to give a shout out to URLs.
Oh, he's looking for a shout out.
When I say we want to shout out to a URL, that means
Amy Anonymous Can Do dispensary on Yonge Street. Fabulous girl, does so much for the community. Look her up. She's great. Can Do dispensary is awesome people. They'll take care of your medical needs.
And Al?
I'd like to throw a shout out to, let's see, Justin Louses from the MMAR Coalition Against Appeal. He organized a fantastic bus trip to Ottawa for patients to go up there to see history in the making at the Supreme Court of Canada. And hopefully when we're done, all our edibles and oils, hash, and tinctures will all be free and be allowed to be used by patients here in Canada.
And I would encourage you out there who is listening to ask the pipe shops and places where you go in to buy your edible medibles or your medical edibles, or the place where you go in to enjoy your vapor smoking at the vapor lounges, or your medical marijuana dispensaries that you go in to get your medical marijuana, to please play this network's broadcasting in their shop speakers so that all the other patrons of their shop can enjoy taking Time for Hemp. Remind them that we've got a thing online called Joint Conversations that we want to share with everybody. Al makes it a point to not only make it informative, but small enough to print out for just $1 or so it can be given out freely to all your friends. And that way everybody around you can definitely know how important it is to take Time for Hemp.
Look at all that money, the money that they spend. Take another look and spend some time for him. Don't cut trees for paper, 'cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yes, it's time for him. Whoa, an acre of hemp makes 20 bales of oil. No need for pesticides to poison all our soil. Yeah.
Free? Did you say free? Free hemp? Free hemp? Free hemp video and audio? Free downloads of all the top artists, all the pot artists on planet Earth. Interviews with all the people making the movement, making the hemp movement. It's time for hemp. That's right, world. It's time for hemp. That's right, world. It's time for hemp.
You are listening to the Time for Hemp Global Broadcasting Network. The only broadcasting network dedicated to ending the global war on drugs on iHeartRadio.